resident or you can domicile. And when you domicile, that means you're not a resident. And if you're not a resident, that means you don't fall under residential restrictions. Right? Marcus Garvey is teaching us that within modern times, within the times that he's living in, right, the Negro race has not had any real statesmen. Not saying that there wasn't any, not saying that they didn't exist, but the problem with the teachings of Marcus Garvey is that he was dealing with the slave label Negro. And his organization is called Universal Negro Improvement Association. And the Prophet Noble Drew teaches us that we're not Negroes, blacks, or colored. So obviously, even though they were born a year apart, obviously, Marcus Garvey didn't get the moral science temple teachings. Not that he had to get them. He was sent to do, he had his own work to do. He didn't have to be concerned with being part of the moral science temple or being part of the Nation of Islam or nothing like that. He was divinely sent to do certain work. But we don't see that. We see just him as just another one of these black leaders that they're just going to put in a book and give him a little 10, you know what I mean, lines or whatever, you know, with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Patrice Lumumba and Haile Selassie and all these people. When this brother was divinely sent to us in order to give us certain information to prepare us for the prophet's work. Because if everybody would have either went to the Moral Science Temple of America or the UNIA, eventually they would have all came together. It would have happened. Right? My enemies in America have done much to do, have done much to hold me up to public contempt and ridicule, but have failed. They believe that the only resort is to stir up national prejudice against me. Again, Garvey's talking about nationality, and he's talking about the fact that we are a nation of people, and if we do not see ourselves as a nation of people, we do not get granted our rights. We abandon our rights, right? That I was not, they believe that the only resort is to stir up national prejudice against me, in that I was not born within the borders of the United States of America. Within the borders of the United States of America, he's talking about North America, Central America, South America, United States. When the United States of America is a corporation, which he would have learned in the Moral Science Temple of America, that the United States of America is different than the continental United States Republic. And the continental United States Republic is the indigenous way of identifying the North, South, Central America, right? So when he's talking about he's not born within the United States, like, he's right. He wasn't born within the United States of America, which is the corporation that they have a president and a vice president and, you know, state of whatever and ministry of, like, all, that's a corporation, right? He was not. He's right here, right? He's saying that they're not, he knows that all they're going to do is try to get us, right, stirred up that he's not who he says he is, or that he shouldn't be saying what he's saying. And that's how he will be stopped, by the enemy doing that, putting his people against him. But if he went to the Moral Science Temple of America, he would know that he is part of the United States of America. It's just, that's not what it's called. They might say that, but we have to know that that has double meaning, right? I am not in the least concerned about such a propaganda because I have traveled the length and breadth of America and I have discovered that among the 15 million of my race, only those who have exploited and lived off the ignorance of the masses are concerned with where I was born. The masses of the people are looking for leadership. They desire sincere, honest guidance in racial affairs. As proof of this, I may mention that the largest number of members in the Universal Negro Improvement Association, of which I am President General, are to be found in America and are native-born Americans. So down here, he now makes the separation that the people who are part of his organization are native-born Americans. He's saying that they were born here. Up here, he's saying that he wasn't born in the United States of America, right? According to North America, South America, Central America, he's from Jamaica, which is part of this land, as far as Moorish history. European history will tell you no. That this is Canada, and then that's the United States, and then down there is Mexico, right? When that's not real history. That's the fake history that the European gave us in order for us to not know who we are. I know these people so well, and I love them so well, that I would not for 1 minute think that they would fall for such insidious propaganda. But people fell for the propaganda. Right? That's why we're in here dealing with this. Because there was propaganda that was spread about Marcus Garvey that people really took serious. But it was just propaganda. It wasn't real. Right? Marcus Garvey said, "The world is indebted to us for the benefits of civilization. They stole our arts and sciences. So should we be ashamed of ourselves? Any leadership that teaches to depend on another race is a race that will enslave you. We need a leadership of our own to make us free men." African fundamentalism seeks to emancipate the Negro from the thoughts of others who are encouraging him to act on their opinions and thoughts. Have your own opinion. Any race that has succeeded in the world will tell you that their ability to rise above others and to establish themselves in the world was only made possible through the fact that they thought and acted for themselves. Because if you act on the thoughts of others, so long will they remain your superiors to let you serve them as slaves. Back to the same thing, teaching us that we are not these uncivilized niggers or whatever. Like, we're not that. Africa for the Africans. Those at home and those abroad. Right? Marcus Garvey was the connection. Marcus Garvey was he was the one that basically united Africa to North America. It's just that people don't recognize that. People think that he is just his own person. But when you're dealing with universal principles and you're dealing with like divine intervention, you're dealing with the power of three. You're dealing with the principle of the triune, or the three things that come together to make up that one thing. So in your brain you have the three things, which is the hypothalamus gland, the pituitary gland, and the pineal gland. And then those three things, when all those things are working together, you become God and man. Right? When you look at let's just let the prophet talk about it. in the Circle 7 Quran, which is prepared for us and which we are told that we should study as our holy book, it talks about the triune principle in there too. And the fact that there's 3 steps to our salvation, if you will. Right? Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what makes what man thinks perhaps is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. Fruition is the last, and this man himself is truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition faith is lost. A man is saved when he has reached beatific life, is out of divinity. So in Christianity, they're talking about Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's 3 out of the one thing. Now, the European, knowing our information is so divine, takes that and does with it what he would do with it, right? In order to use our information against us. So when we look at, for instance, television, majority of the stations are the triune principle, like BET and CBS and NBC and CNN and CTV and ABC, and all of them are dealing with our information. But we just think that, yeah, that's just a name of a TV station or whatever. When they're actually taking our information and using our information against us. Because what we see on that stuff, nothing in our benefit. But we're the ones that's giving them ratings by watching. You know, and not understanding what we're watching. Taking what we're watching as, oh well, yeah, that's just a TV show or whatever. You know what I mean? Or that's just on the TV. When that directly has an effect on your thinking. So the triune principles and everything. So Marcus Garvey was part of the organizational triune principle for our people. And he was the belief stage. Right? And based on him not going through certain schools of thought, his purpose was to get those individuals who didn't know about nothing to believe in something. At least believe that you're an African person. So we could take some steps into getting further into this thing, right? The Nation of Islam would be the faith thing. And then the faith is what is the next step. Not saying that people in the UNIA have to leave the UNIA and become members of the Nation of Islam, but saying that you have to make that graduation into a higher level of thought. Because Elijah Muhammad was teaching about the divine faith of our people, which is Islam. And the fact that Allah and man are related. The fact that we are naturally people of peace, right? Which is what Islam translates to. But that was the next stage. When you go from belief, you go to faith. You go from the UNIA to the Nation of Islam. And then from the Nation of Islam, you go to the Moore Science Temple of America, which is fruition. And then in fruition is where you learn everything. You already went through all these stages to get you to this point now where you can actually manifest all this information from the UNIA through the Nation of Islam into the Moore Science Temple. And then now you can leave, but Marcus Garvey left prematurely. He went off and did what he did only on the belief system.